If you've ever experienced that paralyzing feeling that can arise at even the idea of hitting record, going live onto a Facebook page, or producing video content in general, then this episode is especially for you. If showing up and hitting record and making meaningful progress towards your goals has been a challenge to you, I've got a brand new 5-minute daily planning and continuous improvement checklist that has been specifically designed to help busy entrepreneurs move the needle in all areas of life that are important to them. It's my completely free gift to you. Simply let me know in the comments below and I will shoot it straight through, absolutely no strings attached. Hello and welcome back to a very special episode of the From Zero to Marketing Hero podcast. My name's Paul Heron. I'm a life coach. I'm an entrepreneur. I've spent the last 5 years developing and creating my coaching business, which has been a great success. I'm really excited today. I get to share the second in my interview series on this journey. A couple of weeks ago, I had a really fascinating chat with a great friend of mine, Tyler Nouwens. Tyler and I have known each other for the last couple of years, but we spent the last 3 or 4 months of last year on a shared project where we showed up twice a week and went live onto a Facebook page. There were so many insights that we were able to take from this experience, and we share the key takeaways from this journey in today's episode.
Tyler Nouwens, absolute pleasure to have you here. I know we did a lot of work, and we can probably touch on this as we go through this conversation today, but we have known each other for a good couple of years now, and we had a period of about 3 or 4 months towards the end of last year, early this year, where we were collaborating together and catching up and doing lives. And when I started this brand new project, having you on and sharing some of that experience was at the top of my list. So pleasure to have you here today, Tyler. So welcome.
Thanks, Paul. Great to be connecting with you again and your audience, whoever's out there. Nice to informally meet you.
Yeah. And as we said, before we had a brief chat there, we've just hit the record button. We're not sure where this is going to go. We've had quite a lot of conversation over the last few months that has gone in some really interesting directions. And one of the key takeaways we've had is when we've hit record, the most interesting conversations I think have been when we haven't had the record button pushed. So I just sneakily pushed the record button there. So we are live now, Tyler.
Yeah, we've always talked about, it's too bad there wasn't maybe an app or something that it was recording without us knowing, because our conversations, we observed our conversations being different, more natural, our guards are let down. We're not so worried about how we appear or how people are perceiving us, and we're just talking totally naturally and authentically. And you and I think both agreed that that was the best part of the conversation. And then, especially in the early goings, as soon as we hit the record button, all of a sudden, we tighten up and we start trying to get it right or be, say something, all that stuff. That's what you're talking about.
Absolutely. And I know we probably come from similar places. Just for a bit of context, I guess, we met in an entrepreneurial / coaching year-long program where a big focus was just trusting ourselves to show up and do the work, put the reps in, do the work. And stemming out of that, I did anyway, I identified that ability to be able to just show up. I had a fear of hitting the live button. I think even as recently as 6 months ago, and here I am 5 years into my self-employed journey. As recently as 6 months ago, I still had a fear of hitting that live button, particularly on Facebook. And we spent, I don't know how many episodes we did in the end, but we spent the better part of 4 months, I would estimate, showing up twice a week, religiously every Tuesday, every Thursday, and hitting that record button. And I know for me personally, it was such a powerful experience to notice the transition from struggling with the what do you call it, stage fright maybe, or whatever it is, of hitting record, to getting to the other side, or coming out the other side of that earlier this year and having an ability to, I was almost looking for that next challenge. And I don't know if you can relate to that, but turning up and showing up and hitting record was no longer the fear that it was. And I'm curious to start this conversation today by just asking you, Tyler, what that experience of us showing up and doing Life Coach Live was like for you.
Yeah, I think it offered a breakthrough of sorts in the sense that I got to experience whatever it is my resistance was to doing it and overcoming my resistance. And as you and I touched on a lot, it's our resistance that keeps us in our comfort zone. And so, and I think there's a lot of power in being able to communicate through video online, and I'm guessing that a lot of people are probably like we were, not comfortable with it. And I just think in business, what doesn't really matter what you're doing, getting the reps in and having some experience and facing whatever your resistance or your fears are around doing it and overcoming it, it kind of gives you that confidence and new possibilities are available to you when you're able to do this. So,
absolutely, I love that explanation. And the way that I kind of ended up taking it in the end is it is a skill in itself. And every time we're tackling any new skill, just being able to separate our self-worth and self-esteem from that ability to be able to put the reps in to learn and embody a new skill. It really does, it helped me anyway to really solidify that confidence that I've been able to find now in terms of being able to just show up and, to do this. I don't know if you can tell, but even this today, I would have really struggled with this today. I would have been stressing about it for hours on end beforehand, really trying to prepare and get every single question that I was going to ask down on paper. But I used the opportunity to just take the dog out for a walk. So I feel like I'm a bit hot and sweaty right now. But yeah.
Yeah, that was, I think, part of what we went through was winging it, just showing up and trusting in being ourselves and trying to remain connected to kind of something a little bit deeper inside of us than rather, for me anyways, I'll speak for myself, rather than me getting into my head about what I should be saying or what I shouldn't be saying, or, because often all of that, all of those prerequisites of what I should or shouldn't be doing are because I have this preconceived notion of what the outcome is supposed to be. So if the outcome is supposed to be I'm getting more customers, or more people are listening to me, or more people are thinking I'm professional, or they want to hire me, or they want to give me money, then I need to be doing and saying these types of things. And I don't know. I think for my money, it has the reverse effect. And I think that, that what we need more and more is people being genuine and authentic, and not having ulterior motives all the time. People sense that when you're communicating with them. And, it's all about really building relationships and building trust with people. And if you're always in the back of your mind trying to figure out how you can get something or how you can gain an advantage or something like that, it kind of rubs people the wrong way. So, but yeah, even deeper than that, Paul, I think we got to a place where we were able to wing it quite a bit. And I think we're doing that a bit today, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. Well, as I said, I feel like I am anyway. I don't know how your preparation and what that looked like for today, but
I had this, I'm actually reading everything I've said so far. I'm just reading about this.
Oh, I love it. And during that time, I think, I think there's evidence to suggest that the work we did, because we finished up in probably January, and if anyone's listening, they can go back and search for it. It was called Life Coach Live. There's a YouTube channel and there's a Facebook page. The videos are still up there. And I know we've spoken about keeping that content there, Tyler, because it was just such a valuable experience. And I haven't gone back and looked at it, but I'm sure if you went back to the very first few videos and compared them to what we're doing today, I think there'd be a huge noticeable difference. And I think this is really valuable in terms of what I'm still trying to work towards. And I'd love to ask you: is has it helped you? I know that there's been a couple of changes in terms of what it is that you're working towards, but you've got a self-employed background. You've been self-employed 20 plus years. You're maybe I can let you just have a bit of a let the listeners know a little bit about who you are and how this has been valuable for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I started in the kind of early mid 90s in the advertising and graphics and marketing business. It was a family business. And, I gained a lot of experience working with clients and, and really built and evolved from there. Even at the time when I first started, websites weren't really a thing. They were just kind of, the wave of the internet was just kind of starting to appear on the horizon, and it was starting to break. So I think the first website we did for people was in 1997. Wow. And, I don't know how many I've done since then over the years, but, and then out of that, there's like all of this social media and, blogging and podcasting and YouTube and all of this stuff when I started, none of that was foreseeable, and so today, I just think from a video communication standpoint, because really it's all just various forms of communication. And I think that video is the greatest form of communication, probably besides just being one-on-one with people or in person with people. But where I live is actually quite remote and isolated. So, if I want to connect with a larger market outside of my fairly constrained geographic region, the internet's perfect for that. And video is just, you can pre-record video and you can edit it and you can publish it, and it can keep doing the work for you of communicating. You do it one time and 1 million people could potentially be listening and watching it over the next 5 years. So, in terms of leveraging our time and space, video is really a powerful medium for that. So it's exciting at what the potential is with it in terms of, business and from a professional standpoint. And I think that that's what motivated me to do the online entrepreneurial school and to do the Life Coach Live with you in the past. And so I haven't really continued doing much of it since then, Paul, since a few months ago. But I feel like it's in my back pocket, like all the stuff that was stopping me from doing it, none of that's there anymore. And so when you invited me on today, I was the same way. I was like 15, 20 minutes ago, I was on the treadmill, just watching a YouTube video of somebody else talking about something else. So, just showing up is I think all that we really need to do.
Like, that's an amazing, just that in itself. I've been out for a walk, literally ran in the door, turned this on 5 minutes ago. You're on the treadmill watching YouTube.
Yeah.
That in itself is just such an amazing sign of the progress, because I know some of the challenges that I experienced in terms of showing up, and just overcoming some of this stuff is such a big deal for so many of us. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, that marketing has moved predominantly. You need to be visible online. You need to be visible on social media, YouTube, or whatever it is that you're doing to create interest and awareness in your business, in your brand. It's almost essential these days to be able to have these skills, or to have these skills in general. And I think, what this highlights to me particularly is it's not necessarily easy for us all at the start. And I think actually for most of us, it's challenging and daunting, and we're comparing ourselves to a full production, everything we see on social media. Some of that is social media teams of hundreds and budgets of millions, and we're comparing what we're doing to that. And I think the key takeaway from this experience that we had was just the value of just showing up, putting those reps in. And now in hindsight, we're both able to look back and see that progress. And I think that's huge. I think that's big for anyone listening, that is experiencing some of this resistance to showing up, putting themselves out onto social media, even just announcing what we're doing to the world. That's something that I found challenging. But the more we stick at this and the more we put these reps in, the easier it becomes, the more in our comfort zone it is, which I think is huge.
Yeah. And I think that there is an advantage to those who are willing to step out of their comfort zone and enter into this arena and get their feet wet and overcome their fear and overcome their resistance. And it's a journey. It doesn't just happen overnight. I remember doing public speaking over 25 years ago. And in order for me to show up and deliver the evening program and MC the events and everything had to be scripted. And I think I've spoken about this before, but I had done quite a bit of theater growing up when I was younger, a lot of acting. And so I learned to kind of look at the script and read it as if I was speaking it spontaneously. And so that was my objective. I had everything scripted, but hours in ahead of time, word for word. And my whole thing was to put the type really big so I didn't have to be distracted and people see me, and just be able to look down and read it and smile and, pretend that I was, pro. And I remember if someone took that script away from me in that moment, it would have been the end of me.
It's amazing, isn't it? And just with the technology advancements, these days you can actually have your eyes off camera, read something, and there's auto correction stuff. It's just amazing the technology we've got available to us. But I don't think that takes away from the ability to be able to just trust yourself showing up. And I think, as I said, that's the number one thing that I definitely took from this. And it's just the lesson that I would just reinforce to anyone out there who is on this path, is struggling with some of that resistance to showing up. It literally is just putting those reps in and finding that little step that's the appropriate amount outside your comfort zone, and just trusting yourself to keep pushing yourself. And the funny thing is the comfort zone moves with you, and you need to keep adjusting where you're landing that step. And just really interesting stuff. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna. If you've got something else to add on that, I was going to ask a different question altogether. But
there's different ways of getting your feet wet with this, and one of the ways is just simply putting your phone up with your camera on and just practicing. And it's not live, and it's not nobody else ever has to see it, but it is one of the kind of the first steps, I think, that I would recommend if people are wanting to eventually be comfortable talking on camera, going live and doing webinars and all that kind of stuff. I think that's a great first step. And then, publishing stuff is another big step. But like you said, I mean, you can pre-record something and you can edit something. So, if you're really worried about what people are going to think, you can just edit the part that you think is good. And often, by the way, the thing that we think is so good maybe other people don't think is so good, and the stuff that we don't think is good, other people might really resonate and value. Oh, that's fantastic, So, it's just there's ways to move forward with this, and I think it's fun. I think it's become fun, and I wouldn't say the same at the beginning.
That's huge. I just have that recognition that something that was so fearful that it would almost make you shake and tremble, and I've got memories in my mind burnt into my head. Like I'm a member of Toastmasters, and the first time I got up to deliver a speech, I was hiding behind the pulpit there, literally knees banging together, literally. And now to come out the other side and to hear you say that it's fun, now that's huge. That is just...
It is fun. Yeah. It's fun being able to share your whatever it is that you've got. And it's not even, for me, it's not even so much about a product or a service that I'm sharing. It's just sharing myself. It's sharing it's being able to be myself and to share that with others. And I think that this is the essential ingredient, because what that does is it gives permission to other people to be themselves and to share themselves authentically. And I really, really firmly, I have a strong conviction that this is what really the world needs more of, is people being genuine and true. And, all of the other stuff is just, after a while, you realize it's all crap, actually. It's all BS. So that's
Is that something that you evolved into, that truly being authentic, looking less at what others are doing? I know when I first started, there has been a bit of an evolution, and I resonate with that very much. But when I first started, you're completely brand new and you don't really have any other choice but to look around at what everyone else is doing and try and imitate and try and test a few things and see what works. But I can clearly remember a point in time where I've just gone, no more looking at anyone else. I'm just going to trust myself doing my own thing. Was that a similar path or a similar journey for yourself, or how did you evolve to get to that place where you are able to just authentically show up and be you and trust yourself with just delivering your message and not being tied to any external results? And how did you find your way to this path?
Well, everybody's got their own path. So what it was for me isn't necessarily what it's going to be for anybody else. But I think for me, just never mind being on camera, just being with myself, becoming comfortable with who I am and accepting myself, and, really kind of looking at myself and being honest with myself in ways in which I can grow and learn. And, I think we're often our own worst critics. We spend a lot of time, at least I've observed in myself, we spend a lot of time internally criticizing other people. And really what I discovered, that when I did that, really what that was a reflection of was my own self-judgment and criticism. And so I think that that's really one of the main obstacles to being yourself, is that you really haven't accepted yourself, or you still have judgments about yourself.
I think that's huge.
And Paul, most of this stuff, it flies under the radar. Most of this stuff we're not even conscious of. And so, I guess this inner work falls under the category of self-awareness or mindfulness or meditation, that type of thing. So that was, again, my path. I spent a lot of time doing that inner work. And still, having done all of that, it was still a challenge to be myself, because we're so conditioned to be afraid of what other people think. How am I being perceived? What are they going to think? All of that stuff. Yeah. So it's definitely a journey, and it's not as easy as one thinks.
That's huge.
So
what I love about that is it's continuously building awareness. continuously. It's a continual process. And, you mentioned judgment there, but it's this liking of self, I think, that is the most important factor here. Because I think all this judgment and comparison and all this type of stuff comes when we're doubting ourselves and not thinking we're good enough. And what I see is, particularly in this world that we're in, we're getting bombarded with various different training courses and things like that. The information and the skills is what is provided. We're signing up to these courses that are showing us, the specifics of how to, I'm trying to get up to speed with marketing ads and all this type of stuff. And the specifics of how to do this stuff is there. Anyone can find information these days, but how we go about embodying this stuff and actually trusting ourselves to show up and do this stuff and to continue putting in the reps, even when it feels uncomfortable, to be able, we've spoken a lot about this in our previous stuff, relationship to failure and things not going to plan, and developing that kindness to ourselves is really what keeps driving us back. Rather than trying to light a fire under us through fear and judgment and scarcity and all that type of stuff, thinking about it from a completely different perspective, where we're moving forward through actually liking ourselves more, which is exactly what allows us to just show up authentically, I think, which is huge. That's I know we've spoken a lot about these type of things, and we have a little bit of an overlap in terms of what we think and how we go about trying to work with others towards. It's not just information and helping people to learn certain things. It's teaching how to embody this stuff and providing that space and all that type of thing. So yeah, I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's a, I don't know, being on camera and being authentic, I think, is a great arena for personal development, self-awareness, and and then potentially business growth.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think the foundation has to start first this is me. Everybody's different. But for me, the foundation first has to start with just this. And what comes afterwards as a result of this, what it evolves into, that remains to be seen. So
fascinating stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking right now, just what you just said there about the foundational work needing to be done first. This with no expectation needing to be done first. I think that's where so many get it around the wrong way. We've got these dreams and desires to start our own businesses and to sign up to funnel building, like Russell Brunson stuff and all this. They make it they market it to us that it's easy to transition from what you were doing to this thing that can be the answer to all of your problems. And when we're going in learning the technical skills while trying to develop these, foundational skills as well, it becomes overwhelming, or it can become overwhelming. And I think even just understanding this stuff or bringing it to the surface a little bit and just thinking through, it by definition is taking us out of our comfort zone. It's not going to be easy. We need to take it at a pace that's okay with us, just enough outside of our comfort zone. And we need to give ourselves that time to progress and to take steps towards the thing we wanted to work towards. Yeah, really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So you mentioned there, I'm really curious to just dive into a little bit. You've mentioned anyone who is experiencing challenges with this. You mentioned a fantastic tip already. You said, what I heard anyway was, you don't necessarily have to hit that live button. It's just about producing content for yourself first and foremost, I think is the way that you put that. I love that. Is there anything else that you can think of that might help others make progress in this area?
Yeah, it's basically just starting with whatever you can do. And once you've done that a few times, then you need to challenge yourself and do the next thing that you're that you're afraid to do. And often what happens is, in order to protect ourselves, we remain blind or ignorant of the next thing that it is we need to do, because we don't want to face the uncomfortable feelings around doing the next thing that we're afraid to do. And so we don't even become conscious of it. We just ignore it. It's like it's right there, right in front of you. And you just see right through it, see past it, because of the feelings associated with doing that particular thing. And so I'll give you an example. I remember being in that entrepreneurial school group, and the instructors were the ones going live. They were in the Facebook group doing live updates, or they'd be conducting the Zoom class and so forth. And then bit by bit, it gave other students that were taking the course permission to do a live. And now all of a sudden there's like 2 or 3 people in the Facebook group from the course that were doing lives. And so all of a sudden, it kind of, again, it created the environment and kind of gave me an example or permission to do that. And I remember, getting to the point where I could record stuff, but actually sharing it in the Facebook group, even though it was a private group and we're all doing the same course together. I remember that I literally had to pull over to the side of the road while I was driving, and I said, fuck it. And I uploaded the pre-recorded video into the Facebook group. And that's, it's going to be different for everybody, but I'm just sharing that was a step that I had to take that I was resistant to taking for God knows how long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. How did you feel once you hit send and shot it through to the group? How did you feel?
Well, it's a mixed emotion actually once you do it, because it's, it's done. And so there's kind of an exhilaration part of it. And then there's also a bit of a fear of how will I be perceived, or how will I be received or judged, but it's like anything, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And, in that environment, it was part of our homework to do that type of thing. And so, I love learning through experience. That's my, it's one thing to read the how-to manual on paper, but it's another thing to actually live through it and to actually implement it for real. And the experience that's gained from that, and that turns into wisdom. So the difference would be just reading the book knowledge compared to actually implementing and experiencing what that is for real. And that through that experience, the knowledge becomes transformed into wisdom. So now you have knowledge based on experience rather than just reading something secondhand. And I place wisdom as something quite high on my list of objectives.
I love it.
In my life. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, there's just so much gold there, Tyler. Just to recap a little bit, what I heard first, you spoke about comfort zone, and what I took from that was the step out of the comfort zone is by its nature going to feel uncomfortable, but almost to remember how uncomfortable that is, because that's the decision that you've made in terms of how much you're willing to push yourself out of the comfort zone. And then when that gap starts to narrow because you're becoming more comfortable doing the thing, making sure you go back out to that same level of discomfort. So not having a goal of becoming comfortable with the thing you're doing, almost have a goal of ensuring that the same level of discomfort continues in some way, which I think is a huge takeaway. I just wanted to touch on that. What else? The other thing I heard come through there was the power of finding a tribe or a supportive group that is going to help you. And I think that example of pulling over on the side of the road, it's potentially that, there's the course that we were doing, but the the supportive nature of that group pulled us towards doing some of these things that we knew that was so important to us and taking these actions. So I thought that was huge. And finally, the how-to manual, almost throwing that out the window and getting wisdom by doing. I love it.
Yeah, you could read that how-to manual till the cows come home,
I love it.
But unless you implement it.
Like you could read a how-to manual about how to play the piano for your whole life and you do not know how to play the piano at all. There is no way known you can learn those skills without actually jumping on the thing and doing the thing and applying the stuff that you're learning. So, yeah, I love it. I love everything that you've mentioned there. I think there's some fantastic takeaways.
And one of the things that I just wanted to also add, I think, and I might have touched on a little bit earlier, but I really feel like what it is that we're talking about, people have so much unconscious resistance to doing that if you're able to face it and to do the inner work and to step outside of your comfort zone and do the thing that challenges you, then you're actually a part of the minority, the vast minority. And it actually, like, I'm not big on competitive advantage and, all of that stuff, but you're going to, stand out if you're able to do this. I know a lot of people are probably into business listening to this. And so just strictly from a business standpoint, absolutely you're going to have a competitive advantage because all of these other people aren't comfortable doing this and you are, and you're investing time and energy into developing these assets, particular video content or audio content that leverages your ability to communicate with people. It leverages your time and your space, and it actually frees you up. So I'm a huge advocate for developing this skill, and I'm also think it's terrific, Paul, that you've committed to practicing and implementing this on a daily basis for a whole year. So let me ask you,
Absolutely.
How has that been for you? Because you've been at this now for about 3 months or so.
Yeah, I'm into the 60s now, day 65 or whatever it is today. It's been a continuation of the stuff that we did. And for me, it was all about finding that next step out of the comfort zone. It's exactly what we've been talking about, continuing to push myself. It sounded like a good idea the day I came up with it, and then I kind of mentioned it to my wife, and I said, maybe I'll do this. And I didn't know what to expect. I quickly announced it to quite a few people. I said, this is what I'm going to do, so to give myself a bit of accountability. And then I just jumped in and started doing it, and I have got so much value from this. My understanding of what it is has probably changed and evolved a little bit over the last couple of months. At the moment, and it might evolve again, but it's very much just almost looking at it like my diary in some ways. It's my period every day where my most important goal, getting my head around understanding myself first and foremost, understanding my perfect client, understanding who it is that I want to be working with and the problems that I want to be solving or contributing to or helping to solve or attempting to solve. Just gaining the clarity around that is huge. And then thinking through how I can start helping these people become aware of who I am. And it's very much about attracting rather than the old getting clients. I want to definitely move away from that thought of how I can get clients, but it is how I can get, with that understanding. And it's going to be a constantly evolving process, no doubt, because even over the last couple of months, it's evolved so much. It's crazy, really. But just this process of just showing up every day, thinking through, what that next step looks like, what it is that I want to take an action on, make a podcast about that, get some really interesting people onto the show. I need to do more of this. I know that I'm at day 60 and this is only my second second guest to come on. So that's something I've definitely got a plan of doing way more of this, because this is where the value is for me. I've got so much out of this call today already. This is where the value is, with sharing our knowledge and sharing that wisdom. I love that word that you said, wisdom. I think it's a powerful thing, and yeah, it's been a fantastic experience so far. 2+ months into this, and I am absolutely sure that I can see this through to the end now, and really looking forward to seeing where it takes me.
Yeah, that's exciting. Congratulations.
What about you, Tyler? What's next for you? What's the problem that you're trying to solve at the moment, or what's on your plate at the moment?
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like just having this conversation today kind of reminds me of, I think, what originally brought us together in the first place. And I really feel like, and to touch on your comment about not trying to get something, but trying to attract, I would say, who is it that I want to serve? How do I want to serve?
Yeah, that's powerful.
What are the needs that people have where they need support, they need service, and I really strongly feel that people need support and service around what it is that we've been talking about today. I think that everybody has a voice, and I don't think that most of us are encouraged to express ourselves and encouraged to communicate what it is that is true for us, what it is that we're aspiring towards. And I think that, if given permission, the floodgates would open, and people would be having these open, honest conversations with themselves and sharing it with others. And I think that there needs to be an environment and a platform for people to be able to have the type of conversation that we're having today, because I think it's invaluable. So
that's fantastic. And this being a marketing show, I thought I might just quickly finish with asking, what's one tip that you can give me in terms of this year ahead for me, understanding this marketing journey? I know you've got a bit of a marketing background yourself, but what's one thing that you would, or one little tip that you give me to focus on potentially?
I think of marketing as the cause, and I think of sales as an effect. And I know that most people perhaps may not totally agree with what it is that I'm saying right now, but sales is a result. It's not something that you do. And I'll just speak about North American culture and society. Sales is a title. Oh, I'm in sales. And really, sales is just when somebody purchases whatever it is that you're offering in exchange for money. And it happens as a result of marketing. And marketing is just communication. That's all that it is. And so my advice is just more of a confirmation that you're developing the ability to communicate, and using video to leverage your time and your space. I think is keep doing that, and I think creating the environment or the space for people to do this work of marketing and communication, I think is I think that I would say anybody in business wants it. The opportunity to do what it is that we're talking about, but most are too afraid to even admit it to themselves.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, nice. Yep. No, I love that. I love that. That's what it's all about. Marketing is communication, and sales being an effect. I really resonate with that, and everything we've spoken about today, that hits home. That is what it is. It's about letting our authentic message shine, and hopefully the right people are going to be attracted to that message. And that's exactly what this is about. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, good.
All right, Tyler, that's been a fantastic conversation. If anyone is out there listening and they would like to reach out and they've got anything they want to ask you following on from this conversation, how's the best way for anyone to reach you?
Just get in touch with Paul and he'll pass on my information to you.
Awesome. I am very, very happy to do that for you, Tyler. Once again, you're at top of my list of coming onto this show early on, because I know that there was so much value in the work that we did, and it was such an important phase of my progression, bringing me to where I am now. And obviously we contributed to each other's progress there, which was fantastic. And as I said, you were top of the list of coming on nice and early. So thank you for taking me up on that offer, and it's been great to chat with you today.
It's like old times, Paul.
All right. Bye for now, guys.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. What a fantastic conversation. I hope you were able to get as much value for that as I know that I did. If any of this has got you thinking and you'd love to reach out and find out more, if you have any more questions, please reach out to myself and Tyler. Best way to make contact is through my website, paulheron.lifecoaching.com. That's Heron with one R, Heron. We really would love to get your feedback. We would love to have these conversations with you and look forward to hearing from you. Also, remember, if you are feeling a bit stuck, if you're wanting to start making some meaningful progress, if you're wanting to feel more fulfilled at the end of your day, please consider my 5-minute daily improvement, daily planning checklist. It is specifically designed to start helping you make forward progress towards your goals. It's a simple 4-step process that will only take 5 minutes each day to get started, and you can get started as soon as today. So again, reach out, let me know, and I'll send this free gift directly to your DM. Absolutely no questions asked. And finally, if you are enjoying the show, please consider hitting subscribe. It really does go a long way in helping to share the show with a wider audience. And until tomorrow, have a fantastic day. Bye for now.